Hello, everyone. Richard back to talk about my plans for Grand Campaign West. But before I do that, I want to talk about how the Dieppe scenario ended and what I decided to do with it. So, I think I retried that scenario something like 12 or 13 times. I was trying various different things and nothing worked. Some things, my last attempt, which was kind of new and fresh, um, got me a lot of progress and I managed to destroy most of the units, but I was certainly not able to take all the objectives. Uh, and the damage done to my core was so intense, clearly it wasn't worth it. Uh, so basically, there's a couple of problems I ran into, and a lot of this has to do with Deductor's mod. Um, the Mach 3s, these British tanks, would destroy everything. They would destroy the T-34s, they would destroy the KB tanks, they destroyed my Panzer 4s, they destroyed my 13 strength 3-star Panzer 4, and I mean destroyed. They were not even afraid to attack infantry in the city, and they were very effective. They were not afraid of my anti tank guns. They were not afraid of my 88 gun. Ambushes were not really that effective either. The only thing that was effective was sending Oladir to attack them in the city, but that was hard to set up. Um, I don't really I don't know if anyone knows historically what was going on with those tanks, but those are the most dangerous tanks I've ever played against. They were pretty much indestructible machines. So the only thing I could think that you could do was level bomb them, and then drain them. So that would drain them of ammo and then kill them. Um, but believe it or not, it doesn't work because they are indestructible. Um, you would attack it like 3 or 4 times with no ammo, and you wouldn't do any damage. Or, suppressing it with artillery. If you were lucky, you would do one suppression. An anti-tank gun would probably have been effective against a Mach 3 with no ammo, but it was difficult to get that set up with the way the scenario worked. So they were the most indestructible tanks I've ever come across. He must have buffed their defenses, and he must have buffed their attack because my 13 strength Panzer 4, backed up with double artillery, would get shredded. Like it was almost like an ISU had showed up and it just didn't care about my armor and my artillery. It just none of my techniques worked. Ambushes were not that effective, believe it or not. It didn't matter what I ambushed with. Probably if I'd gotten an ambush with an 88, that probably would have been very effective. But the scouting is very intense. You're never going to get an ambush off. It's, maybe one of those tanks. I think there was like 4 or 5 or 6 of these Mach 3 tanks. A couple of them I was able to kill on a river because they were trapped and I could use infantry to attack them. But I had more problems than that. The Valentine tanks were shredding my units as well. I mean, they were. It was pretty amazing to me. They didn't go after my overstrength Panzer 4, but my 2-star Panzer 4s. They weren't afraid to attack, and they actually did nice damage to them. Um, the KVs could handle the Valentines very easily. The KVs were fine, but eventually the Air Force did attrition, and then you've got these Mach 3s, and they don't care that it's a KV, and they just destroyed my KVs. The other issue I ran into is I couldn't use a tactical bomber because obviously those planes will attack your tactical bomber with a plane protecting it. I think that they intended for you to bring Rudel because at least with Rudel, if you put a fighter on him, um, he probably won't be attacked. The Air Force is buffed in Deductor's mod, and you really start to feel it in that scenario. And I didn't have I don't have experienced fighters. I mean, there's some risks with how I compose my core, and it really shows up very strongly in that scenario. So it's all downhill for me from here because the Air Force isn't getting any weaker. So that was a problem. I did manage to eventually play a scenario and dominate the Air Force, but it takes like 12 or 13 turns, and the attrition is simply too much, right? Like you're losing more and more units that have to get pulled off the line, and I just can't build up enough mass attack to really plow through the enemy. Um, So I found that very interesting. Like my units, the only units that seemed okay was my infantry in the city and my 88 gun. But I found it very interesting. Planes were attacking my AA. They didn't care. Uh, I mean, it was wild. Like, I think he must have buffed these planes a lot because these planes are not afraid of my anti aircraft guns. They weren't even that experienced, and they were pretty deadly. Also, there were some scenarios I played where my fighters were attacked. These British Spitfires, I think, whatever version that was, they are very aggressive, and if you don't set your situation up right with your fighters, you will lose a fighter. Like those FWs I was given, the the British didn't mind attacking them. If they didn't see a good target, the British fighters would attack your fighters, and it could go very ugly for you. The other thing I noticed that I don't understand is all the planes wanted to attack my Pioneers, and it mostly was good for me because my Pioneers have air defense, um, but they were effective from time to time at breaking through my air defense. I mean, so it's interesting that my Pioneers are not immune from attack from the air. So I'm going to continue with my Lost playthrough because in terms of net prestige, it would probably cost me 3 to 4 thousand prestige to maybe not that much, like 2,000 or 2,500 prestige to fix my core if I tried to play it properly. And the only reward I get for that is a Churchill and a Winston tank, I think. Um, and that's what I didn't get. I didn't get those two units, which sucks. But the alternative is my core is decimated. So you can imagine which one I would rather have. So that was very interesting. I tried every trick you could imagine to try to make that scenario work, but the Mach 3 tanks, there was nothing I could do. They were indestructible tanks. The most indestructible. I think they were worse than the tanks. Um, I think they're the tanks that are the pre-ISU tanks that you meet in 42. Like really high ground defense, like 24 ground defense, those tanks were significantly easier to destroy than the Mach 3. So I really don't know what was going on with those guys. I don't know if they were bugged somehow, but they were basically indestructible. Um, so that kind of made the scenario not fun to play because unless you bring Rudel, if I had had Rudel, the scenario probably isn't that bad. Because Rudel is just going to have a field day wiping out tank after tank. But I didn't bring Rudel, and I think that scenario is the first time where I feel like you need Rudel. So, but anyway, I wanted to get into my plans for the Grand Campaign West. The first four scenarios really don't matter that much. Like, I don't care. Some of those are fictional anyway. So I have this sheet here that has my slots. Um, can I? Yeah, okay. So I have East, how many slots you get in this scenario. I have West, and then I was looking at Africa Corps as well. This is the losing side. So if we scroll down, you can see I have 9 slots. This is ignoring SE units. And I am down to Girondi, and I have 16. This is the first scenario where I can actually deploy... Um, I can actually deploy a full division, and let me go over what I think that should look like. This is going to be my entire core. This is my plan. So Weak Links gave me some information. I don't know where he got it from. I don't know how to confirm this, but maybe somebody else can. But he said that a division in 1944 had 5 infantry divisions. I don't know how many motorized. I think this is probably not right. I don't think I want that much. I'll probably have like 1. And of the 5 infantry divisions, there was an engineer. I'm assuming he meant pioneer division, part of that. And I don't know what the subset of the infantry divisions are, but the way I'm gonna set it up, we can ignore this. is I'm going to have a couple of Weimar infantry. I'm going to have a pioneer for each division, and I'll have my mountain units. And later on, you get a couple of weird grenadiers that are like hero units, and they're very, very powerful. Um, and that will complete my 5 infantry divisions. So in 1944, I plan on deploying 2 divisions to complete my corps, and it'll look like this. Um, and I need to buy some more Weimar and train them. Oh, this isn't right either. And then he said there's 2 battalions of tanks. Um, and he said there was 1 battalion of Panzer IVs and there was 1 battalion of Panthers. So I have 4 tanks right now. So 2 of those 4 tanks will stay as Panzer IVs. The other 2 will be upgraded to Panthers as soon as I can do so. And so at minimum I'll deploy 4 tanks in 44. The next scenario, I'll deploy all the tanks, but 2 of those tanks are extra tanks in the next scenario. In 1944, all 4 of the tanks will be a part of my corps that will be deployed. And then when I get my 5th SE tank, whatever tank that is, that's just a part of reserves from my corps. And I'll deploy that every scenario. But it's not a part of the division. And then there was 1 anti-tank gun not motorized. So I can now do that. I got a couple anti-tanks. I can sell those guys for a lot of money and just buy an anti-tank gun and train it up. And then there is 3 artillery, not 4, and 1 mechanized. 1 mechanized. So it will get rid of this. So this will probably become a Stug 4. He didn't say what kind of 3rd artillery we're looking at, but I'm gonna have 2 towed and some mechanized artillery. My plan is a Stug 4. It's just a unit that's very useful. And 1 10-centimeter gun and 1 15-centimeter. I think that's fair, and I'm not really overpowered on the artillery front. So that means in 44 I'll be deploying 6 artillery and maybe not much more than that because I have to make room for the Air Corps, which is over here. I have like overall corps division distribution. Apparently I didn't spell that right. That's consisting of the Air Corps, which is separate from the division for me, and then there's like what I call miscellaneous stuff. This does not look right. It must not have remembered the updates I did. Anyway, I will have 4 fighters, not 5. I will have 2 tactical bombers, 1 fighter bomber, 1 tactical. Those will be given to me later. If I do scenarios right, I will have 1 level bomber, which I already have. That will be a Heinkel, and I'll get the most advanced version. I will not have 2 88s. I will have 1 88, 1 12.8 centimeter gun. That will also be given to me. And then I'm going to have 2 of these. I already have these. 2 of these mobile anti-air. So 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. Yes, I think that's it. I think that my entire Air Corps is 10 units. In the miscellaneous, I am going to have not this. I'm going to have 1 Vespa. I will have 1... what is it called? Let me pull this up. I will have 1 Grill H. I will get when I can. 1 Grill H. And then, I don't know, I can't buy bridge engineers, by the way. And that sucked. I will have 1 10-centimeter gun. These are backup artillery, eventually. No, I will not have paratroopers. I will probably have an SE Tiger and probably an SE Panther, and those will be extra units. Oh, I already had the centimeter. I do not need backup infantry for sure. I have plenty of infantry. I do not need scout cars. Um, yeah, I don't need scout cars either. What was I miss? What am I missing? Oh, two Stug 3s. I have a Martyr, and I will upgrade that to a Stug 3 basically whenever I can. I don't have a lot of prestige, so it'll take a while. I want a couple of Stug 3s. What am I missing? My Air Force is covered. I don't need any more infantry. I'm not going to get... Oh, you know what I forgot? There's also a recon battalion. And those are going to be Panzer 2s. I'm going to give them... I'm going to try messing around with a different recon unit, so I'll just get each of them a Panzer 2. That's easy. You're given a Panzer 2. I'll sell my other recon and get myself another Panzer 2. So that's easy to do. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Okay, so each division is going to have 12 slots. Right? I don't need any scouting. I have artillery covered. The Air Force is covered. 2 Stug 3s. I have every relevant infantry I could want. So the miscellaneous part, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm missing something. What am I missing? This is not the sheet I had. It must not have saved my work. I don't know why. Is it over here? No. No, never mind. That's weird. I had a bunch of stuff down here, and it disappeared. I'm missing something. There's supposed to be like 10 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't need any more anti-tank stuff. Oh, 1 SE Jag Tiger. Can't forget that. That's given to me. And there's 2 S. One of these is a. I think I'm given a SE fighter bomber. And that, I think that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so my miscellaneous core, that's closer. I feel like, oh, I might include bridge engineers, but I noticed I can't buy bridge engineers, so totally scratch that. So this is my miscellaneous core. I've got some SE units, some artillery, and some anti-tank stuff. And like 2 of these are given to me. Upgrades I will need to make. Two SE Panthers that will be required. I need to buy 2 10-centimeter guns, 1 15-centimeter gun. Oh, whoops. I shouldn't put it that way. I will need to buy 2 10-centimeter guns, 1 15-centimeter gun, 1 Vespa, not 11, 1. I'll get into like why I need to do that later. 1 Girl H, 1 Stug 3 from Murder 2, which I just got, and 1 Stug 3 fresh. What else? 1 level bomber, which I bought. 4 regular infantry, which I only bought 2 so far. Regular infantry. There we go. What else do I need to buy? Oh, I have 2 SDKF Z72s. I already bought those. And I'm not buying any fighters because I'm going to be given fighters. Oh, 1 Panzer 2. I have to buy one of those. Oh, one rocket artillery. I'm missing that over here. So, Weak Link said that there were some SE divisions that had rocket artillery. So, I have some SE units here, and I'll assign this rocket artillery to. It's just backup artillery. What am I missing? I am going to be given the Grenadiers. I already have the mountain units, and I already have the Pioneers. And I need to buy. I have to make sure I have enough Weimar. I already have 2 Panzer IVs. Oh, 2 anti-tank non-motorized guns. So I'm going to pay for that by selling my. I was given anti-tank guns with expensive transports, so I'm going to make out like a bandit on that. 2 Stug 4s will be upgraded. Or two Stug 4s. One of those is an upgrade. One is an upgrade. So I will buy a fresh one, and then my Stug 2 will be upgraded to a Stug 4. So as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 16, 17, 19. I have something like 21 upgrades. That's going to be very expensive, and I'm playing on double Rommel, so I'm going to have to find a way to find the money for that. So let's get back to core slots real quick. So why did I have so many units? It's because the core slots increase, and then when I hit hang on, I forgot what the 44 first scenario is. Anzio, 22 slots plus 5 SE gives me 27 slots, and my divisions are 12 units. So one division will take up 12 slots. So that means 24 of my 27 slots available will be taken up by 2 divisions. 2 of those will be backup SE tanks, and then the other 3 are probably 2 fighters and an AA. Yes. So I'm gonna have or maybe 3 fighters. I may not have many anti-ground units. I'm not sure. Maybe I might have to give up some infantry. Oh, that's right. No, I need the infantry. I need the infantry. But you're gonna imagine in Anzio, when I deploy, I will have no room for extra artillery. So all of my artillery. This is all of my artillery. I won't even have room for a level bomber. So I'll have to bring probably 3 fighters. That's insane. So like all of my anti-aircraft stuff is probably gonna have to be left behind because the core slots are so tight. And then by Beaches of Normandy, I can actually bring all of my anti-aircraft stuff. And later on, the core slots get bigger. St. Vith is the first scenario in 45. I'll have more flexibility as I go on. This isn't right, actually. This is the winning path. I don't plan on taking the winning path. I plan on taking the losing path. And I also am not shooting for a decisive victory every time. I want to kind of mimic historically what was happening. So I think it's gonna not be very difficult. Look at how my division is made up. Not motorized, I should say. I'm gonna have a not motorized anti-tank gun, 3 artillery pieces, a recon, 2 battalions of tanks, and 5 infantry groups. Many of them, I think, maybe no more than 2 will be motorized. My Pioneers and the Grenadiers. Grenadiers? I don't remember how to spell it. Anyway, so like a lot of non-motorization, very few tanks. My Air Force is 11 units, and like 4 of those are ground units. and I'm not going to be able to deploy these all the time. It's going to be very rare for you to see me deploy everything. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, this is what I brought. So I brought 4 SE tanks, an 88, a 10 centimeter, a Stug, Ola Deer, 1 mountain unit, 115, 110, 2 Pioneers. The reason I brought the mountain units and Pioneers is they already have experience, and I want high close defense. They're going to be the backbone of my corps or my divisions, and they're going to hold the line for me because I'll be defending all the time. I think that'll be helpful. So this is the future. I have to buy all this. I've already bought 1, 2, not with trucks. I've already bought like 4, 5. Um, Actually, it's only 1 scout car. 1 second. This could be deleted as well. So I need to do upgrades or buy 4 Weimar infantry and only like 16 total units. 2, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Yeah, so 16 units. It's quite a bit, but I've already bought like 2, 4, 5 of these 16. So, and some of these other things will be paid for because I'll sell units I have. Okay, so that's the future. I plan on doing upgrades and buying these, and my divisions will be deployed like this. I feel like you're going to see me struggle to get marginal victories, and that's okay. And by the time I get to 1945, I think my core is slowly going to wear down, and I just kind of want to, kind of role play historically what was happening to the German divisions. I don't even think I'm going to have to try very hard. I'm already struggling to get decisive victories, as you can see from my West playthrough. So, with Deductor's mod buffing the Air Force as well, it's going to be a hell of a dogfight. There's going to be a huge focus on my Air Corps and not so much on my artillery. So that'll be interesting. And I get a maximum deployment. I don't even make... I have 1 less scenario on the losing path, and I have like 37 slots. These scenarios are different. I don't remember their names, but I get a maximum of 37 slots. Plus 8 SE slots, so that's 45, right? So 24 plus 21 is 45. So I have exactly enough slots to actually fully deploy everything. I won't have anything in reserve. And I also like how I'm going to have 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to have 6 different artillery pieces. I'm going to probably have 3 different tanks. I'm going to have 3 different anti-tank guns. I'm going to be using a different scout car that you'll normally see. My infantry is pretty diverse. Grenadiers, Weimar, Pioneers, mountain units. I really like that. I'm going to have 1 tactical bomber, 1 level bomber, 1 fighter bomber, and I'm going to have 2 different types of fighters, 2 different types of anti-aircraft towed guns, and another mobile anti-air. So my corps will be very diverse, and you'll see some units that you don't see too much of, I think. So that'll be cool. That's my plan on how to play Grand Campaign West. And I'm also at double Rommel with Deductor's mod, so it's going to be a very painful experience. So those are my plans. So the next Grand Campaign West, whenever I get to it, is Gironde. I will try to deploy a division, which will consist of these 12 plus 2 SE tanks. So that's 14 of my 21 slots, right? Yeah. So I have 7 slots, and I have 2 fighters and 3 anti-aircraft. So of the 7 remaining slots, 5 of them will be taken up by my Air Force. So maybe I bring rocket artillery, or maybe I bring a couple more artillery. So already in the next scenario, when I'm going to start role-playing divisional play, the restrictions are very severe. I'm going to be bringing an anti-tank gun that doesn't even have a truck. Okay, so I think it's going to be really hard. Uh, Probably I'm going to get broken. And what I'm hoping happens is that you see a slow, excruciating destruction, a wearing out of my core, and I lose experience, and I'm showing up in these final scenarios in 45 worn out. And I'm hoping it just kind of reflects the reality of what it would be like as a part of the German army fighting overwhelming air superiority from the Allies, and you're losing experienced units, uh, and you don't have motorization. So just things are falling apart. So I'll see how long I can hold that together. Uh, and these other tabs are a whole other discussion for another time. They're even more interesting, I think, than this. But I just think this would be cool. I've never seen anyone do the losing path. That will be cool. I'll try to take the opposite path that Idleclease took every time. And I had to calculate all this by first finding out. I had to first find out uh, how many deployment slots there were. And Idleclease had played these scenarios, and so I had some idea of how many deployment slots there were. Um, and once again, just to review what happened at Dieppe, I just got crushed. Well, I actually my loss that I showed you, I didn't get crushed. I just lost, and I probably saved like 2 or 3,000 prestige and repair bill. So I feel like I came out of that a winner. uh, so if you don't believe me about how difficult that is, try to play it with Deductor's mod, uh, and I think you're going to be surprised at what happens. But if you really want to succeed, I think the trick is to bring brutal and hit that critical point as fast as possible, and then you can grind your way to a win. If you try to do it without brutal, I think you're in for a very bad day. So I'm happy with how that ended. Richard out.